Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's call. It is Sunday, March 10th, and I'm very excited to be doing this at noon today so that I can have a very special guest here, my husband.
Hello.
And he is being a great sport to come on here, but that is actually a huge part of the journey we've been on over the last 3 years, this Erev Pesach, 3 years ago when I started this journey. And I wanted to kind of give you guys, I know some people out there struggle with spousal support or want your spouse to be more involved or want at least just a more positive environment where you feel like people are getting what you're doing. And it really doesn't start like that. And I wanted to kind of show you the transformation we've had and how this is not just a weight loss journey. This is falling in love with yourself. And this is really changing from you out everything around you, and how things have changed for us over the last 3 years since I got to know Beachbody for the very first time. So, Tani.
Hello.
Some of you know his face because he, well, not in our group, is in my workout selfie for the last 6 months together in the morning.
When?
It's from May, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. He's home today because we are celebrating our 16th wedding anniversary. And so we took the day off work and we are spending it together. And so he's very sweet to do this. Let's get into the meat and potatoes.
I like meat and potatoes.
I know. That's what I said. 3 years ago, Erev Pesach, I was 8 weeks postpartum from our 5th baby, and I put on the most weight except for my first baby. Both my first and my 5th, I put on about 65 pounds. And both times afterwards, I felt so bad about myself, and I felt so gross and so unattractive and so unhappy at a time that's supposed to be very happy, and at a time where being more emotionally unstable or more emotionally vulnerable is very dangerous with all the hormones going on and the lack of sleep and everything else. All that extra pressure I was feeling was really dangerous and very not pleasant, I think, for anybody. I'd say the biggest difference between my first pregnancy, though, and my 5th pregnancy was in my first pregnancy, I really didn't know what to do when that happened, and I didn't know how to cope. And in my 5th pregnancy, I already knew the feeling as the pregnancy was coming, and I spent a lot of time researching to make sure I would be surrounded by the best, most positive community possible to make the journey, which I knew would be a long journey back, as smooth as possible. So at least I knew what to look for, 12 years later. So, honey, what was it like from your side? I just had our 5th baby.
Yes.
And it was a really difficult time in our life.
Yeah.
We were going through a lot. You were in school full time.
Yeah.
I was working full time for the first time, like in our whole marriage. I was the one working, you were the one in school, and now I had a baby, and what was it like for you watching me? Like, what was it from the outside?
It was exhausting. I'll be perfectly honest, just trying to keep up with you, because you were just, trying to keep the flow of what was going on in the house. And, we just trying to be supportive of you without knowing how to do that, and being in my own situations at the same time, and trying to get in my own place and know that I had to come in and support you. But I didn't really, even though we'd been through this beforehand, it was just, there was a whole lot of other moving pieces at the same time. So I wasn't really sure what to do.
Mm-hmm. And I remember very clearly that when I chose to do this, you were like, why do you need that? You already know what to do.
Right. It seemed like a step backwards.
Why did it seem like a step backwards?
Because you already had your own programs, you already had your own stuff going on, your own name, and it looked like you were just, somebody else was attaching themselves to you, and you were doing the grunt work that you had already done. Now you're doing it again.
Mm-hmm. And this is I was just a customer. I was not a coach. No one invited me to coaching. It was just, I researched and I said, I need help. And you felt like I should need help.
Well, you've always been very strong, so it's hard to see when you need help, because you've always been such a strong, stable force for us.
Right. But I was not stable at that time.
No, but I'm not allowed to say that. Newly minted mothers.
Right. But I wasn't. And
Right.
you could feel the difference in the house. The day where I got the thing and I did the first workout, it was Erev Seder.
Yes, and you were exhausted, and I was worried you were going to not make it through the Seder.
Right. And we had just obviously had a new baby. You were in school.
Mm-hmm.
We had all the cleaning for Pesach with
Right.
the 8-week-old, everything else. And you felt like this is just one more thing.
And to be perfectly honest, the 8-week-old was not very helpful with the cleaning.
It was not helpful. Really, we should train them better.
Yeah.
And you felt like this was just one more thing I didn't need.
Right. Listen, it's always good. We always spoke about the idea of taking care of yourself and working out, but it just seemed like the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm. And then when I did it, and then I'm like, not only am I going to do this, but I'm going to use these containers and I'm going to watch my food over Pesach. What was your response? Your response was like a huge eye roll.
Yeah, that's basically the best description of my response. It was internal and external.
Right? Not supportive.
Not support, because I didn't see it all working together. I didn't know why you needed to do it, and I just felt like it was additional work.
And you felt also like resentment, no?
I don't want to say as much resentment on it as much as it just seemed like a waste of energy that could go to that you didn't have that much to begin with.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't like that. That something was like taking more of my energy.
Right.
Okay. So what point did you say, like, in the process? Because, like, right, this was the first 21 days we're going through, and I did not miss a workout that entire
That was
Pesach.
impressive. That was very impressive.
What was the difference? How did it start to build, like, okay, she's actually taking this seriously?
Well, it was the fact that you made sure that this was as important as brushing your teeth or anything else that went with, your daily routine. So it becomes, once it becomes part of the routine,
But in the first 21 days, it was not part of the routine.
It wasn't part of my routine.
Do you remember, like, we had to go on Tiyulim with the kids, and
Yes.
I'm like, I can't go till I do my workout, or I have to schedule this time to do it when we get home. Do you remember what your reactions were like?
Our reactions were very simple. Why are we putting another thing into that's going to disrupt the routine?
Right.
Because it wasn't part of the routine yet.
Right. And someone needs to hold the baby.
Right.
And I need to pack my food to make sure I have vegetables and I have food. Which
is always a strange thing, because the way I grew up was, okay, we'll just get food while we're out. And if food may just be ice cream, well, then that's what it is. And having you have to actually think about your food ahead of time, it was like just another headache.
Another headache, absolutely. And as we were going through it, you would say, I definitely don't think the first 21 days you were on board, for sure. What point?
I was still skeptical about what the point was.
Right. What point? And this was way before I started drinking Shakeology.
Right.
I would say, from my side, when I started feeling you being supportive, was we started March. So it was before we went to America in July.
Right.
I felt like it actually took about, March, the end of March, so April, May, June.
That's when I started working out with you.
In June, you would do one or two workouts
with you
here or there. And did that affect your change of perspective?
Oh, I got to see the fact that that there was something to the whole program. It wasn't just another one of these, fly by night. Okay, we're going to do this and then we'll move on to something else, or it's just another, product that's out there. So, seeing as how the flow of the workouts, the flow of the program, the whole organization of it kind of made a little bit more sense to me.
Absolutely. And that was also when I was actually improving.
Yeah.
That, I think, also affected you, to actually see, like...
You could see the difference.
I was struggling. Like, how was I? I was struggling.
Weights.
Like, not only I have 1 pound weights, but, like, you saw, I was, like, struggling through the modifier of the workouts, versus at 3 months already, I was modifying, but I was working definitely much more... Definitely looking much more at the...
We've always had this problem since our wedding night.
So...
Okay, that's not how it was supposed to be.
Oh boy.
When she's doing the 7 times around me, and I just keep
At our
going
wedding,
like this,
at our wedding.
At our wedding, and I just keep getting poked by my mother. You're supposed to look at the crowd. You're supposed to look at the crowd. I'm like, but she's better looking than the crowd. So.
Okay, so you started working out here and there,
right?
But it wasn't until 3 years later that you actually ever really did a whole program with me and started, 2.5 years later. 2.5 years later. So over that time, at what point did you start to become like, okay, I'm going to go all in just in supporting her and making sure that, like, if Lily says she needs 20 minutes to do this or 30 minutes, that we are all, including with the kids, on board. And then we'll jump to when Shakeology started coming in. And that was a whole new
I would say after the summer that we went to America, and I saw how you just kind of made it part of the, not interrupting the way that our summer went, and it just became part of the routine. Like I said, as soon as I saw that it was something that was making you happier, and it was just became part of the routine. So then it was like, okay, so now it's part of the routine, and it's something that you benefit from. So, like anything else, that's great. So you're going to benefit from it.
And that trip to America 3 months in was when I bought my first bag of Shakeology.
Right.
And you were super negative and skeptical.
Because I don't buy into any of this stuff.
Right.
It's all, hocus pocus and
right. And so you had me buy 2 bags of a cheap protein shake supplement while we were in the States and say, let's really see the difference. What point do you think you turned the corner on this is actually something that's quality, that's different than just powder?
Because I read the what do you call those things on the back?
The ingredients.
Ingredients. That's what it's called. Sorry, my Hebrew has not improved since we made Aliyah, but my English has gotten worse. But I read the ingredients. I look at what this stuff is.
And you're a big researcher.
I am a big researcher. So I want to know what is what is a scam, what is not a scam, what is real, what is not real. And when I read it and when I saw that there was nothing negative there, and
how many sites did you go to and then constantly tell me, well, by the way, I went to this site and this site said it was a scam, but actually these other 3 sites said that these are actually the benefits of the superfoods, and they don't know if it's actually worth the money, but it's actually a really good product.
A lot. I'm annoying like that. I need to read everything. I've been like that since a kid. I always want to just.
And what point did you actually then start drinking it?
When I needed to get out of the house quickly and have something for breakfast. Honestly, it was just like, okay, why not? It'll work. And it did work. I didn't actually think it would work. I thought I'd buy a sandwich on the way, but I didn't need to.
It did work. And it was better for your medication, correct?
Yeah.
Your ADD medication.
Yes.
So that was kind of the beginning. And then this summer, when I started To Be Mindset, you were like, again.
Why? Why are we making changes when something's working?
Why are we making changes? And what point, I think pretty quickly, though, you got on board?
Well, because I like this more than containers.
You like it more than containers.
It's easier for me. I don't have to think. It's just, okay, look, here. Okay, I can.
Not that you ever did containers.
I never did containers because I won't do that. too much thought. I'm
Absolutely. But how just having, and you've never watched the To Be Mindset videos?
Correct.
Ever.
I just watch you. You're the expert.
Ever, anytime. What would you say? Because all the time now you tell me what. What do you say to me? Like,
I see a lot of things.
No. You were like, came home the other night and you were like, okay, so I was eating dinner and.
Oh, yeah. I had to eat my vegetable first or something like that because I thought of Lily.
Because veggies first, because veggies most. Because
Right.
I'm saying the stuff that she's saying in the house and you see it affecting your thought process. The other thing was, do I need this eating opportunity? You told me that has been playing.
The not eating the cookies at work thing. Because I'll just pass by it and just continue drinking my tea because I don't need the cookies. They're not that good. So, why bother?
Right. And water. You're drinking a ton more water now in tea than you used to.
Listen.
Right? And again, I never had to tell you to do any of those things.
No.
In fact, do I push you to do anything that I'm doing?
Sunscreen.
Other than sunscreen.
Which I should.
Sunscreen. Okay. So I want to just replay here, guys. If you have a spouse and you want them to get involved, don't push them. Don't say, come work out with me. Can't you see what I'm doing? Look how great it is. Look how great it is. What point did you really decide? Like, what turned the corner for you that you were like, I want to get up in the morning and actually do it with her every day?
Well, there's two parts to it. Part number one was the fact that it's the only time I get to see you on a regular basis because our schedules are so busy. And I want to see when we're not exhausted, even though usually in the morning I'm exhausted, but whatever. And the other part of it was, honestly, I like working out with you because it pushes me. I need to work harder then because I can't let you beat me. Every time you reach for my lighter weights as your weights, I'm like, okay, now I got to up it again.
And Transform 20 was way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm very, very out of my comfort zone on it. I mean, listen, it works. It's done what advertised. It's not something that I would have ever chosen to do on my own, but I'm enjoying doing it with you.
Right. But it was because you committed to the program and to finishing it.
Right.
That versus before when you'd worked out with me here or there, but never really completed a program.
Right.
Versus now, right. This is this summer now. You're to the point where if I'm not like in the mood to get up, you're like, no,
right.
We are doing this.
Do it anyway.
I think from my perspective, it was seeing how much fun I was having Zooming with Ayelet and in the group that you wanted also a piece of the best part of me.
Oh yeah, always.
Like, right? But there was a little bit of FOMO there.
I want to be part of the fun.
Right. You wanted to be part of that experience instead of me having this complete experience separate from you.
Right. I mean, listen, we have a lot of things that are not related all the time. So if there's something fun that we can enjoy rather than it's just, okay, clean the house, raise the kids, and, pay the bills, why not?
Absolutely. Now, when it came to healthy eating, I would say, where were you when we met?
My food eats vegetables, so therefore I eat salad.
Right. So versus now, how many servings of vegetables do you make a day?
One with every meal.
At least one with every meal, yeah, for sure. So again, guys, this is 16 years. Intentionally. This is 16 years. Have I ever forced you to eat a vegetable?
You did try and sneak meat into a salad and convince me that it was meat.
That's right.
That's how I started learning to eat salad.
I put meat on it.
Put meat on salad.
Right, that's right.
Otherwise, no. There's no forcing you need to eat this.
It's me doing it, right. Me being happier.
Right.
How do you think it's affected the kids, in the last 3 years that we've been working out at home versus when I used to, I've worked out for a long time, right. Versus me going to the pool or you going to the gym or even your football that's outside versus you've changed your experience with football and now you bring the kids into it because right. I brought myself into this.
Well, it's natural for them to take care of themselves, to pride themselves on taking care of themselves and think about, what they're doing, what the consequences are.
Oh, my back.
Something that we all share together. And again, the fact that we don't need to take a stroller on a hike or things like that because our kids are just like, okay, let's go. It makes it a different type of family experience.
Mm-hmm. And would you say when they're proud of their muscles, they're yes. proud of their body, has it brought any, do you think, negative body image issues into the house?
No.
This idea of portions or this idea of weight loss or this idea of, what do you think has been different about this experience versus Weight Watchers or any of those other kind of things?
Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
This requires less vocal involvement in it. It's just part of life. You just do it. This is the normal way of doing things. So it's not, you're not, I've got to count this and add this and do this. And, and then the kids are hearing it and the kids are getting, well, if I eat too much, then I'm going to get fat. What if my pants aren't fitting right? What if it's just, this is how we do. We wake up in the morning, we work out. We make breakfast. Part of our breakfast is a vegetable. Part of it is a protein. Part of it, this is just how breakfast is. You want a snack? Sure, have a snack.
Sorry?
That's all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sorry, I'm just muting someone with a lot of background noise. Okay, so what would you say, even with the containers? Because I was doing the containers for a year and a half, but that was actually positive with the kids, not.
Well, they had fun with it. They like that kind of stuff. They're very like Masudar, and they want to know the order and what we can have and what things are. Also help them learn what different types of food are. So that was
right. Like now they still talk about, did you have a fruit today?
Right.
It really helped when organizing their Aruchat Eser they know that they're going to have a fruit and a vegetable and a carb and a protein.
Right.
And sometimes they'll argue with each other, oh, you're taking more rice, you better
Mhm.
also take a
Yeah.
protein, or did you also have a vegetable? I hear them say these things to their siblings when they're babysitting.
Right. Because
Not in a heavier way. And even when the kids, like, because the kids obviously notice.
Mhm.
My son, Tani, showed me a picture today that came up of Purim 3 years ago. When was it? Right after Bensi was born.
No, it was the year after. It was 2 years.
The year later. And Gavi, what did Gavi say?
You look very different.
He said, you look completely different.
Right.
He'll come up to me. I'll put his arms around me. I'll be like, look how much I can put my arms around you.
Right.
But it's never in a, you used to be beautiful. You used to not be beautiful. And now you're beautiful.
No,
You used to
it's
not.
just
And I
healthy.
give you, first of all, I give you a lot of credit for that, because you never put any pressure on me to lose weight, even after in my heaviest.
Just had a baby. That's part of the baby thing.
It's part of the baby thing. So
I'm very scientific.
very scientific. But let's say somebody shows this video to their husbands.
Okay.
What message would you give to a husband who, how could he support best? Like, it's been 3 years.
Right.
And you're very happy with the results.
Oh yeah. No complaints.
For yourself, but
No.
also in me. And it's affected our relationship in a very positive way.
Yeah.
What message would you give to husbands out there, or, you know, spouses in general, how they can be supportive, but also what are the benefits they're going to gain out of this, other than obviously a wife who physically, you know, looks different? Other than that, what are the other things, changes you've seen in me, but also changes to our relationship, changes to the house, and
Well,
what could they do to support that?
the first thing is to try not to obviously roll your eyes. And that takes training, and that's a good lesson to learn overall, because it cuts down on the whole, you know, arguments to begin with, because, you know, I didn't say anything, but your face said something. So that's number one. But most importantly, it's about doing something together and having a connection on something aside from the normal, just, okay, yo, house, kids, bills, that kind of stuff. This is something that can be fun together, you know, and a growth experience together without having to do all of the self-help. You know, this is literal self-help. It's just you helping yourself. It's not all the other stuff. And that's a lot easier for us as guys to swallow, because a lot of times we can't just go sit there, listen to somebody else tell us how we should do better ourselves. Because, you know, what does he know about my life, and how, you know, that's not relatable, or, you know, I don't want to hear the sales pitch, or whatever it is. That's not what speaks to us on a general level. However, we're happy to do something better ourselves, especially if we think it was our own idea. So why not just, you know, do this? This is something, you know, whether it's working out in the morning, or whether it's just, you know, sharing in the idea of how to eat or what it is, or you can share the same plate. And, you know, then, you know, if you guys are doing this, then there's less of a chance of her stealing your fries. And that's also a benefit. But, you know, and you just, it becomes more natural.
I totally still eat his fries.
I don't,
but I count them.
But I don't get fries all the time.
That's right.
See?
You don't get fries all the time either. That is very true.
I'm a smart guy like that. But, you know,
let's say, at what point, though, did you stop bringing? Did you feel like, because there was times when we would argue, like, you're bringing in food that is triggering for me, like Ben and Jerry's.
I like Ben and Jerry's.
Right? How do you feel like you coped with that? And how can these husbands who aren't interested in maybe joining them, but how can they be supportive without feeling resentment?
Well, there's two things. One is, just on a practical level, Ben and Jerry's sells these little containers that you can eat before you get in the house.
That's right.
That's number one.
And she should support that.
Yes. That will, you know, then you don't have to bring the thing in, and then you're not trying to share. You're trying to share. Look, because it's just going to add stress. And the thing that husbands should do most is what we shouldn't do, which is add stress. If we just don't add stress, life is better. So all we have to do, the first thing to think about is, what is going to not add stress? You know, I know everybody always talks about taking the positive. I start with the negative. What is the thing that I can do to be less negative, or do less? You know, and that's less adding stress. Okay, I can add less stress by not bringing these things in, by finding another way to do it, by finding another joy, by finding a way to just cope without having this one thing in this point at this time. And life will be so much better.
So much better. How would you, like, how would I said, like, again, they need to get motivated to not have to feel like they're being supportive. And again, especially for a lot of women, like we have been chronic dieters, right? So maybe the women have taken food away from the husbands before and been like, this is what we're doing. This is not that.
That
how
starts
can you
with
feel that?
That starts with the wife not doing that, to be
Right.
perfectly honest.
Right.
Don't take away his beer. Don't take away his pizza. Don't take away his ice cream. Let him have one spoon with it. But at the same time, if you say, okay, he's not going to you can have it. I'm not going to tell you what to eat. Let's just not have it here. Or let's get whole wheat pizza. I promise you, he'll eat less. Okay? Not that he won't eat any, and she makes great pizza, and I still eat a whole pie. Sometimes it's a smaller pie, whatever. But the idea there is that it's got to be a mutual lack of conflict. I won't tell you what not to do, and you will bring less stress into the house. Marriage is a partnership. It's not an employee-employer relationship.
Right.
And that's the key is it can't be you instructing me on how to do my job, and it can't be me taking 3 times as long or adding the stress or not doing it the way you want. It's got to be a partnership and a discussion.
Absolutely. I would say that's the same thing. I agree with how you feel like in the end. I know your number one concern was that this was more stress on the family.
Right.
And would you say today that this experience has been more stress or has... I would say
less stressful in many ways because it's added things that we needed. And that brings down the stress level. We have a calmer environment, as calm as it can be with so much ADHD and bonkersness and everything else. But as much as you can calm that down, it has.
It has, absolutely. And okay, I think that's it. Guys, if you have any questions, I'm just going to open it up for a minute on the chat. And if you have a question that you want to ask somebody who watched from the outside, who will give you an honest answer about what this dream is like, here's a good one.
Okay.
Okay, guys, keep asking questions in the meantime. Here's a good one. How annoying is it to you when I'm frustrated with my results? And what can a husband do? How have you learned to cope with that and then let it play out?
That has been very, very much a struggle because, when I look at you, I see, I don't know why you're complaining.
From the beginning, though.
Why you're upset. Right.
From the beginning.
Right.
Because if my push-ups are improving, you feel like that should be enough.
Right. That should be enough. There should be something. There's not a whole lot that we can do to make you feel better. We just have to be as loving and supportive as we can be because
that was hard.
Because it's frustrating to see you frustrated at what we don't understand. And it's a big issue that we don't understand it and we want to fix problems. And this is always the thing is you come to us and you talk to us about something in our mindset is, okay,
we're not even talking about it. We're just talking out loud.
But if you're saying it out loud to a man thinks, how can I fix it? Okay. If you think it to yourself or you say it to your friends, then it's not our problem to fix. But once you open it up to us, it's our problem to fix. So you either have to preface it by saying, I'm not asking you to fix the problem. Or you have to, sometimes roll your eyes when we make a suggestion and just say, thank you. Roll your eyes internally. And also just preface by saying, listen, this is something that I'm dealing with. I'm not looking to get answers, but it's a frustrating situation. Can you just accept that and give me a hug?
Right. Yeah. And I would say that was very true when I started to be mindset. I started getting on the scale every day.
Yeah.
You were not a fan of that.
I did not like the idea of scale every day. I don't like the idea of scale to begin with, but I definitely did not like the scale every day. And now somehow I'm going on it every day. So but I'm okay with it.
But now you're okay with it. But
keeps me in line.
And that was a big change mindset for you.
Yeah.
But again, like at the beginning, you definitely struggled with me doing it every day. You were not, because you were like, well, why aren't you happy? You're doing so well. And slowly now you just don't say anything. You're just like, you look great. That's what you just say over and over again.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So want to read the question?
My husband keeps saying he's going to gym, but blames me when he doesn't. Would love him to join a program. What program does he start with? First question is, what kind of workouts does he like? Does he do any workouts? Does he like running? Does he like weightlifting?
She said he goes to the gym.
Okay, but that doesn't mean, does he go to the gym to run on the treadmill? Does he go on the gym to lift weights? Does he go on the gym to use the
Is he a
machines?
sports guy?
That makes a big difference because there are certain programs. For example, I went through this whole journey. I started off with the running thing when we first started trying to deal with.
Fat.
Yeah, I was fat, and I learned after a while of running that I hate running. So I went back to lifting weights, and I love lifting weights. So if you love lifting weights, a couple of good programs are the one we did last year.
Lift
4 is great. If you have lots of time, then Body Beast is amazing, but you have to have a big ego. Okay, I do. So it was great, awesome, really, really good. If you're more of a sports kind of guy, you play sports, you play basketball, and you see yourself slowing down, then do the Shift Shop, which is great for speed and has some weights. So again, strokes your ego and speed training, and I can tell you 100% made a difference for me from one season to the next. I'm 40 years old. I'm still playing tackle football with the youngins. So these things work.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I would say Transform 20, you've gotten a lot of compliments.
On the speed, which surprised me. So I will give him credit. It worked.
Right. It worked. You're a lot faster.
Yeah.
It just, again, it's not his favorite. He's not the biggest Shaun T fan, but yet it's also grown on you a little bit. Ish. He loves Joel. He loves Joel. Joel is his guy. And definitely actually the 4-day-a-week aspect of Live 4 was what actually got you to finally commit. And we did 6 months of Live 4.
Right. That was great.
We did 6 months straight of Live 4. Okay. So that's a good question. Anybody else have questions? While he's here, they're private. We won't say your name, put them on. But this is a really great chance, especially because this is a wonderful tool you can share with somebody in your life who maybe you'd like to get onto this journey, or you just want them to understand how they can support you better, or also if you have a question, maybe how you're coming off or how, it's really valuable. It's really, really valuable. In this idea, let's throw one more thing out there.
Oh, boy.
When over Pesach, that first Pesach and Purim, especially Purim, with the drinking and the candies, when we had less of that stuff around, and I started saying, I'm getting this out of the house, what was your first reaction and how have things changed?
I don't like getting rid of the stuff. It's, it's part of the memories of Purim is all of the garbage that you eat all the time. And, but over time, I kind of like, what did I say this year? What do I want for Purim? I just want to chill out. I don't want all of the garbage and all of the stuff and everything else. It's brought more peace to the house when we don't have the constant rush for, I want this snack, I want that snack, save me the snack. We have some, we enjoy it, but you don't need to overrun yourself.
And that was definitely not where you started.
Right. No. I started with the treats. I love the treats. I love the chocolate, especially if you guys want to send chocolate or chocolate chip cookies. Okay.
For sure.
Just make me run more. I hate running.
What changed for you?
The atmosphere, the fact that I can see the difference in the kids, and the fact that I can see the fact that, between Purim and Pesach, it can be extraordinarily stressful. And when you've gone up 5 pounds over Purim, and then Pesach is going to be that big, heavy weight of matzah and everything else. And if you don't have all of that going in between, it's just, okay, it's just another day. I had a good day. I had a fun day. I ate. All right, no big deal. I had a couple extra treats. Great. I can keep moving on, and you don't have that extra stress.
Absolutely. Okay, great. How would you say, even during the prep for Pesach cleaning, and now there's this other thing that's happening. How did you handle that?
Well, I'm going to cop out on that just a little bit because I'm a terrible cleaner and I need lots of instructions. But most importantly, I got a job, so I don't have to be around so much for the cleaning. But no, seriously, a lot of it is there's not as much garbage to go through and things that are popping up. And it's just when you have a plan, when you have a program, when you have an organization, it moves smoother.
And what about especially eating before Pesach? What was your number one complaint that you now don't complain about?
There's nothing to eat.
Right. That was your number one complaint for years.
The week before Pesach, there's nothing to eat in this house. Except last year, we did have food.
And now we have
food.
Because there's always food.
Right.
And so the fridge has to get done earlier because it has to be veggies most, and there has to be protein and it
Right.
has
And
to
as long
be
as
there.
there's protein and veggies, I'm good now.
And I'm going to ask one last question. Well, I hope you guys come up with a final question for me. Anybody who has not asked a question, put a question in the chat box. I'm looking at you. I know who you are. Okay. How has our willingness to change our healthy lifestyle now opened us up to a better marriage and working on a relationship and working on our financials?
Well, once we feel like we can accomplish something working together towards a goal and going together rather than just, each person doing their part, but working on it together, it makes it easier to address other issues, whether it's financial, whether it's organizational, cleaning the house. I did some of that this morning.
Mm-hmm. On our anniversary day, he cleaned out his closet, which I've been asking him to do for months.
I still have T-shirts from when I was in high school, which, by the way, to her credit, I can still fit into. So that's number one. But number two is that I don't like throwing things out. And I actually did a whole bunch of cleaning up because we're going to have a more organized home. It was a decision we made together because we're used to now doing things together. Same thing with the financials. We're going to get more organized financially and we're going to get in a better place. But it's not going to be my responsibility, my job on my own, which, has been. Now it's going to be something together, and that's going to be better because we're used to seeing progress and accomplishing things together now. But that started with something simple, like just working out together. That was easier because that's something that, okay, we're both going to work out.
And it started with me doing it without you.
Right, but without pressuring me.
But without pressuring you.
That was the thing. I didn't feel pressure to do any of this.
Right.
As I wanted to because
wore you down very slowly through FOMO.
I want to be part of I guess it's FOMO. I like looking at the positive of it rather than the negative of it.
Since when?
Since just now during this conversation.
Okay.
And I want to be part of the fun, not missing out.
That's right. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, I'm ready for that last question, and we are going to sign off. So any last question you have from a man's perspective on any part of this journey that you want to ask him, I told him he should be 100% honest, even to complain about me. It's okay. It's 10 years since you met your husband today. Congratulations. Cool. It's fantastic. Awesome. Somebody had a question before. I want to see from the two people who did not ask yet. I'm waiting for a question. Somebody else had a question previously.
Okay.
Date night.
Yes.
When they want to go out on date night and their husband doesn't like it if they're not ordering something decadent with them or a peer pressure in the relationship like that. How can you handle that without making him feel left out, but also saying that's just not for me right now?
Order what you want to order and enjoy it. Honestly, enjoy it. And
if I don't order anything, we've gone to a whiskey bar and I haven't gotten anything but seltzer.
Right, but that you're enjoying that. That's that. The important thing is to not look at it and say, well, I can't have this, but you should go enjoy it. But make it part of your regular, okay, this is what I enjoy and I'm going to get what I enjoy. If you like to get just a simple piece of chicken breast, but that's what you'll eat on a normal Tuesday night, then get that and he'll know that you're getting it not because you don't want the steak or you don't want the dessert or whatever it is, but because this is what you want.
But it definitely changed the dynamic. If we would go to a restaurant and we maybe would previously share a dessert or get two and share them, and now
I'd rather have whiskey.
And now you'll get maybe a drink because
right.
I don't want to I'm not going to share that with you. And so then it's you eating it on your own. That was definitely a transition for you.
It also made me think about the fact of how much am I enjoying the dessert versus just enjoying what's going on around and the time with you and how I'm feeling afterwards. I've become more conscious of how I feel with my eating.
Oh, definitely. Definitely it's good to have date nights that are not food related. We are just big foodies and restaurant people, and we love to and we need a place to talk. So we don't like to ever do really movies as date nights. But we've definitely in the summer when it's nice out, go on walks on the beach a lot. And I love the beach. So, and he hates the sand. So walking by the beach is a very good joint compromise. And our working out together is also extra daytime that's not food related. But that's our night. Okay. You want to read this one and answer this one?
Do you ever worry that being open about weight loss as a couple and as parents give a problematic message to kids? I will say to the first part before I get to the second part of that question that if you're being open about weight loss, then it could. If you're being open about healthy living, then it's a different story.
But we talk about with us, they see us go on the scale.
But that's part of healthy living. The difference is how you approach it. Are you approaching it as there's something wrong with me that I need to fix? Or are you approaching it as I want to be the best person I can be? I want to be the strongest, the fastest, the most confident and
at a healthy weight.
Right, and that's just part of it. Okay.
It's just the normal part of it's like learning to walk or learning to have a healthy checkbook.
Right. It's I think that our kids, by seeing us not, stressing about it, but by seeing us working out together, I think working out together, as a matter of fact, is even more, because they see us doing something, and at the end of the day, I may look a little tired, but we both have a smile on our face. We're both enjoying it, and also with the weight loss and the food, it's not about weight loss. Thank God she does a great job. I've kept the weight off for years. They haven't heard me talk about weight loss. They hear you talk about it, but again, it's not about what's wrong with me. It's about how I can be better. And it's about how you present it.
And it's always just getting into a healthy weight range. And they're going to watch me for the rest of my life maintain that loss. They're just going to watch me live healthy. Remember, weight loss should not be your whole life. It should be a period of time that you're getting into a healthy weight. And then they should just be watching you keep up the same exact activities for the rest of your life, living it. That's where you're setting the example. The example isn't in weight loss. The example is showing them that just being a healthy weight is something that should be like the same way we want our kids to not live in Minos in this country. If you want them to be different than 90% of the people around them who are going to live their life in Minos, financially unstable, unfortunately, in our communities, then you have to model that this is a value. If you want your kids to have a healthy weight, then they have to see that it's just something that matters to you. It's not the most important thing. It doesn't make them a good or a bad person. It's just a thing. It's a thing that's one of your values. It's part of being healthy. And that's the end of it, because once you're achieving that weight, which should not take you more than 1 to 2 to 3 years, okay, no matter how much you have to lose, it's about 3 years out of their whole lifetime of memories. And if you make the process joyful, then it's not going to be something that they remember with disgust. It's going to be something that they remember brought the family to a more positive place.
Right. All right. I want to address the other 2 points here.
Yes.
One is the issue about meat and dairy. Fish is a good compromise. It's more expensive generally, so you got to keep that in mind. But fish is a good compromise. And then the other part about body positivity, and I'm going to go off on a small rant here. The simplest way to have the kids have a body positive focus is not to focus on the body, but what they're accomplishing. And that means less screen time and get them signed up for a sports team or some sort of activity. Too many kids spend too much time not being as active as we all grew up with, and it's, I coach football, I coach kids football, I coach kids that are very athletic, and I coach kids that are, God love them, I'm sure they're wonderful children in other ways. But they all find a way to get better, to enjoy it, to get something out of it, and they feel better about themselves when they're doing something active. The more the kids are active and they feel like they're a part of something, not just going and running around outside or climbing at the park, but being part of something, whether it's gymnastics, whether it's a football team, when they're around other kids being active, it will affect them positively.
With a good coach who focuses on progress.
Hello.
Then that is also important. You're very good at finding the people's good things that they're good at. Okay. But I agree. It's not focusing on the body. I compliment my girls on their outfit. I compliment them on their style. I compliment them on their body very rarely. I have one daughter who has the most adorable tushy, and I can't stop telling her that she has the most cutest tushy. But I've been doing that since she was 6 months old. And I think anytime, once in a while, listen, I have girls, they'll ask me especially in Israel, they're super fat conscious in Israel, not because of me, but because of the country and here. And I'm sure it's the same way in America now. They'll be at the end of the day, oh, my tummy is so big. And that's not something I say. And I'm like, it's because you just ate a ton of food at dinner. Drink some water, go to sleep, you'll see. It'll be right back down in the morning. If they complain about oh, I'm feeling especially I have a daughter starting to go through puberty, they start to get a little bit thicker. I'm like, honey, this is totally normal. This is hormones. Are you eating well? Are you drinking well? moving, don't worry about it. Everything else will take care of itself. So this is the end. It's our last minute together. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I really hope this was helpful for you. Have a great day.